Hello. So today I'm reinstalling a truck rack that I had on my truck prior to a blowout that I had. We're fixing to go camping again this weekend at a lake, so we're going to take the paddle boards. I'm going to hook that rack back up, and it's something that I'm going to keep on until, I wouldn't have taken it back off if I didn't have the blowout. So I've enjoyed the rack. It's ADARAC is the brand. It's a great truck rack, and it's real easy to put on. I'm going to go through that real quick, and we'll get down to it. So this side I was able to leave on. The actual rack itself I had to totally take off, but this side I'm starting the reinstall on it and putting it back on, because this is the side that they had to totally replace, as you saw in the picture. So I've already started on this just to make sure I could do it with this idea. I had when you buy the kit, it comes with some little ropes that you feed through these to feed them down into the hole here, and basically here, this is the front one. So you feed this down into the hole with these little ropes tied onto it through these holes, which allow you to pull it back up, and then put this bolt down through this top rack here onto the mounts itself, like you see it in here. So we're going to do that on the front mount up there, and I just wanted to make sure it would work, because I used a piece of baling wire here since I don't have the strings anymore, and it worked well. So I'm going to go ahead and use that on the front one, and we'll go from there. Get this back out. Start all over again. Don't give up. Never surrender. Now we'll put these back together here on top of each other. Put that down in there. I'm gonna a little harder bend on that. While the mosquitoes tear up my ankles. It's my fault. I'm wearing shorts and flip-flops. We're October here, and it's still in the low 90s during the day. Nice and comfy. All right, so let's try this again. Slide it down in there. This back over, bring it up through here. Alright, take my bolt, try to get that bottom plate that has the threads on it. Don't force the bolt, just slowly try to get it to capture those threads. Like it's going well. All right, and just cinch it down with your fingers so you got it, and then at that point we're good to go ahead and just pull that out. All right, so at this point, I'm just going to take a look at how far this one is lined up as far as the distance for the bed, how far the hangover is here and up here, and kind of somewhat match the other side to that before I tighten it down. Once I get that, which looks about the same right now. Yeah, maybe just a hair in. So I'll tighten it down there. But before I do that, I want to take you through a couple of things. I did not totally tear this all apart when I took it apart. So there will be a few things if you're just setting this up for the first time that you'll have to, for instance, these little metal pieces with the threads in them. There's one on each end. That's what's going to attach into the top of your stands that are mounted to the side of the bed here. So you'll put those, you'll slide these pieces in before you put these end caps on, and it's super, I mean, just have the threads to where it will take the bolts in, and these little end caps just slide over the end, and there's another little cap in there that this bolt will lock into both ends. And then when the way they sit up on top of the rack there is just like that. These end caps are good for tying down. I use them to tie down my paddle boards, along with, I bought a few extra tie downs that didn't come with the rack, 2 for each side. Got 2 over there and 2 over here, and those are what I use to tie down my little ratcheting ties that I can ratchet down and hold the boards on securely, or whatever else you're hauling. So this is all 14 millimeter. It's a 14 millimeter socket and wrench, pretty much all I used for this whole project. And we're gonna go ahead and see this one right here. This rack I didn't have to take apart, so it's already all set up to just put back in and bolt into those bolts, which go right onto these little mounts here. And these little mounts slide in the track to wherever you wanna, the rack will sit somewhere in there. There's little end caps that before you put the end caps on, you slide 4 of those in, 2 for the front, 2 for the back, and then pop the end cap on. All right, so I'm gonna tighten this now that I have it lined up, tighten it down. Tighten down the back. And I'm holding it in place at the same time because sometimes when you're tightening it, I remember before when I first put it on, it kind of moved the metal a little bit one way or another, so I want to make sure it doesn't move it significantly there. So I'm going to start by installing the back rack, which was still fully put together. One thing I want to make sure you notice on when you're putting it together is you've got kind of a slanted angle on these uprights here and a straight angle. I've got my straight angle on the back here and the slant on the front. Those mounts I was telling you about down below, you got to make sure they're in the right position there. You can see these aren't lined up yet. So we'll take that, lift it up, and just move these over with your finger. And now they're lined up. Enough for me to get a bolt in there anyway. And that's what I'll do next. So I want to make sure they go in smoothly. Threads are smooth and hand tightened down. Move over to the other side. Do the same. And we're just going to tighten them down. Now when this, on the initial installation, it tells you all about how to make sure you've got the right distance for before you mount the uprights here, because you don't want this whole thing bowing in or providing you any problem. This should sit nice and level across, not be bowed in. You got to get the proper distance to each side. I took care of all that already, so that's why I'm just bolting this in. On the one I do up in the front, I'll have to make sure I get it all set up again, and we'll go over that. I don't put too much of a tightening on these, but I definitely do check them regularly, especially when I'm traveling, and making sure all the bolts are just like anything else. Things vibrate loose after a while. The front here, I've got it in pieces, and the top rack is right back there. So I'm gonna start by putting these pieces on first. And now, before I tighten those, I'm gonna take and put the bar across the top of that. Alright, so I'm gonna slide these down, slide this one down to approximately where I'm gonna need it. Alright, so they're finger tight. Now, I'm just checking to make sure that this distance here is the same. There's no binding of this. Yeah, I look, see a finger width there and a finger width there. So they're pretty close. Close enough for me. I'm gonna go ahead and tighten the bottom. All right. So if you like the rack as much as I do, that's the name, ADARAC. So here it is, all put back together.